I never thought that I would live to see the day that Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood would ever be dethroned as the highest rated anime. At least, at least according to my anime list. On my anime list, it is number one. I mean, how long has Brotherhood actually been number one? I honestly can't remember. I think it's been years at this point, right? So, I know my fellow anime nerds and friends must think that I'm like some kind of lunatic because my usual go-to anime is isekai or slice of life, right? And I'm fine with that. I will watch some real garbage anime and love every minute of it. I have no idea where I'm going with this. Anyway, I think it's been my love of trash anime that has kept me from being like this tyrannical anime contrarian, that just goes around making all these hot take videos. So when this show came along, right? When this show came along, I didn't see this one. First of all, this just popped up out of nowhere, and I certainly didn't expect it to dethrone Brotherhood. Now you're probably wondering, well, what anime are you talking about? Shut up. You already know what anime this is because you're looking at the thumbnail. Stop looking at the thumbnail. Don't look at my thumbnail. It's Frieren Beyond Journey's End. There you go. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Neko Mimi Cafe podcast. It's a show that's like fresh popped popcorn. It's both crunchy and buttery delicious. My name is Gruzbee, and the Catgirl is Ruby-chan. Together, we bring just a little bit more cringe to your corner of the internet. So, last November, when I started this podcast, I made the podcast so that I could broaden the scope of the content that I make on the channel. Because everybody's like, you got to diversify. You got to put your shorts, you got to put your longs, you got to put your mids, and you got to put your epics all in one place, right? So that was kind of the idea here behind the podcast. And I figured if I could keep the podcast on the channel, then I had an excuse for actually continuing to make the episodes instead of just, doing like one or two and then forgetting about it. So I also wanted to get back into doing some mild anime content. I fully intended to use this as a way to introduce more anime content back onto the channel. So far the only things that I've really talked about have been, like Crunchyroll, High Dive. But those podcast episodes have done okay. I don't know how well this one's going to do. Considering the topic, it might either do really well or people are already going to be like, who cares what he thinks? It's usually the way it goes. Like when it comes to YouTube, I've already developed a mindset that nobody cares what I do. They don't care that I have a channel. They don't care who I am. They don't care what I do. So I can do whatever I want. Anyway, so to be honest, sitting down and discussing anime is one of those things that I don't know. Looking back on it, I can't say that I was ever really all that great at. I mean, truth be told, there were other, better channels out there. I'm just going to be honest, better channels who I think they did anime reviews much better than I ever could. And it could even be that I started in really excited and enthusiastic, and then as like the years would go by, and this happens to people. You start off very enthusiastic, and then that energy just sort of starts to drain away a little bit. And after the years went on, I think what sort of happened was I began to suffer more and more like imposter syndrome, right? And that's a very real thing that YouTubers can go through, especially when you like build your identity around the inspiration from other people. When you pull inspiration from other people, eventually you feel like, oh no, am I emulating them too hard? That sort of thing. And so, once something like that happens, once like imposter syndrome sets in, it can be really hard to rediscover your own creative originality. and even feel like you have your own voice anymore. And I don't know, maybe that's where I was, whenever I got rid of all the anime content. I stopped doing anime reviews, and I think maybe I was looking for an excuse. And when the FTC thing blew up, what was it, like around the holiday season of 2019, I think it was the right time. It felt like the excuse I needed to rebrand and shift gears. So yeah, now here we are 5 years later, and after I've decided to start streaming, and I feel like I don't know, I felt like I've come back around full circle, which I guess is a good thing because I get to talk about Frieren. So let's do that. This anime, wow, it snuck up on me. 1 minute it wasn't there, and then the next, like, all I could see was people posting pics and memes about it. They were posting pics of this long-haired elf girl. I was like, okay, all right, new hotness, right? New hotness, because this happens, right? Obviously, when you're being on the internet, we're going to see fans being fans. Every season is the same thing. Fans come out in support of some new show, some new hotness, some new character, the waifu of the year, right? But this, I don't know, this seemed like a pretty strong communal effort. Yeah, I'll get that out. This almost seemed like some kind of coordinated attack that was going on the internet with Frieren. Like, I mean, it was strong. The force was strong with this one. So I did what I didn't want to do. I decided to give it a watch. I normally don't buy into the hype of an anime, I just, if something seems overhyped, then it seems too good to be true, or I just cough it up to a certain age demographic running rampant. Like, for example, I'm going to throw this out there. All right, Fire Force. When Fire Force came out, it was a hot new show. Everyone was just going bonkers for it. I was like, I don't know. This was back when I was still a little brave. I watched one episode of it and I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. This is not my show. I can see where the show is going. It's going to be a variation on the formula, but this is just going to end up being a fighting show. And every week is going to be a new villain. And then they're going to have to get stronger. And then they're going to have to fight more. Only it's a dude who fights with his feet. F that. I was, so when the show is overly hyped, I just automatically kind of assume it's going to be a new shonen fighter. Sorry, I've been burned too many times. You can't blame me. And if you do, fine, go away. Yeah. So the holidays are one of those times that, my channel takes a huge hiatus break. It's not because I'm unwilling to make the content. This past holiday season was just all over the place for the channel. I mean, I was sick for most of October. It felt like all the way up to, no, not most of October, most of the first part of November. I didn't start feeling better until like shortly before Thanksgiving, like third week of November. It sucked. It was really bad. It was really bad. And then, you have the Christmas holiday season and there's lots of traveling. And so the channel ends up kind of getting put on the back burner. It's inevitable. I can't travel and make gaming live streams. It's just not feasible. I mean, it might be, but I'm not going to do that because I don't feel like going crazy. So during this downtime, I thought, well, I'm going to catch up on some anime since, it's kind of pointless to try to do a live stream with company over and that sort of thing. So I had two options, right? I had two anime in front of me. I had this Frieren show, long hair elf girl, blowing up big on the internet. And then I had this show that I'd kind of put off for a little while. Remember, I'm an isekai guy, right? And it's the Reborn as a vending machine and something about wandering a dungeon. Yeah, I'm like, okay. I I felt like I needed to flip a coin, but it ended up being Frieren. So the first thing that I did, because I wasn't really sure what Frieren was about, but I didn't want to get like spoiled or anything, I first always check. Like if something looks very dramatic or it looks like it has the potential to go to dark places, I want to know early on. I absolutely effing hate when an anime starts off one way and then they kick your feet out from underneath you for that sucker punch right in the gut. Hate it. I hate it. I'm so done with that. Give me a real reason why you're killing off characters that I love. I hate that bullcrap. I'm not impressed by it. It's happened too many times. It's sort of like in shonen fighters when, you know, they kill off a beloved character, right? Like punch a hole through them the size of a bowling ball, but then 3 episodes later, after the entire fandom thinks that they're dead, they'll like sprinkle some magic water on it, and I'm surprised I didn't die. And you know how the fans get all pissy about that? That's me when it comes to edgy, dark anime, you know. That's me. So I wanted to know, it's like, okay, are there any beloved character deaths in Frieren? I'm not joking. I'm serious as a heart attack. Are there any beloved character demises? You know, I didn't want to fall in love with the character, you know, and have them be like my character. And then suddenly they're gone episode 7 and I'm getting my guts shredded. That sucks. It sucks. I mean, yeah, it's anyway, I've ranted about that too long. I've ranted about it until I'm blue in the face at this point, but I have dropped some of my favorite shows because they pulled that crap, you know, especially when a beloved character gets deleted from existence by a dipshit villain. It's like, do you even love your audience anymore? Do you even care about us? That you would first it's injury, now it's insult. F you. All right, I'm ranting. I don't know why I'm ranting. Oh, I'm all worked up. I need more coffee. Hang on, let me get some coffee here. Back on track. I feel like I'm rabbit trailing way too much here. Okay. So I looked into it, and so far anyway, now I have a feeling that the show is probably going to progress and get a little bit more dark, and I'm okay with some, you gotta understand, I'm okay with some character demises. I just feel like they need to be done correctly. Don't try to play my emotions like a fiddle. You know, don't play me like that. Do me right. Do me right, right? And there's some shows they do it right. There's some shows they do it right. I'll throw one out there. Trigun. OG Trigun. Okay? There was a beloved character demise. I don't know how many times I can say death on YouTube before I get like shuffled into like the shadow zone, but beloved character demise in Trigun. It was done well. I didn't mind it. Beloved character demise in Cowboy Bebop. Didn't mind it, you know? There have been instances where a beloved character has had to demise themselves, self-sacrifice, the ultimate go-out glory. I don't mind it. So I don't mind if I'm expecting it to go a certain way, then I can prepare myself for that. I just don't like the shock surprise, right? I'm not about that life. So I started watching Frieren. And so I looked into Frieren, right? And I didn't see any beloved character demises that I was aware of, that anyone was aware of. There was some fighting, and there was a scene with like a demon general that I was like, okay, yeah, all right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I kind of spoiled myself. Look, it's fine. I needed to know. All right, so I spoiled myself. So I watched this clip on YouTube, and it was when I can't remember her name. Was it Aura? Is it Aura? Aurora? Whatever her name was. She's gone now, so it doesn't matter. I watched that fight, and I was like, okay, all right, I can get behind this. It's not, what is it? Goblin Slayer level, which Goblin Slayer, I'm fine with watching because I am prepared at any moment for any of them to go in a horrible way. Like, I prepared myself. I braced myself early on. I didn't go into this thing thinking it was going to be, bunny rabbits, farming carrots, and painting Easter eggs. And then suddenly, cocaine Winnie the Pooh shows up and eats their faces off. All right. I had no misgivings about what I was getting into when I started Goblin Slayer. So I felt comfortable enough with Frieren. Like, everyone was saying this was a sad show, right? It's going to be sad from the beginning, and then it's just melancholy. I'm like, oh, dude, I can do melancholy all the damn live long day. Let's go. So, they're like, it's this melancholy, bittersweet show that it gets introspective, slow burn, a little bit of slice of life, but like on maximum thrusters, for the higher functioning, you must be this tall to ride crowd. And I'm like, let's do this. I'm not going to lie. That concept intrigued me. So as long as I was prepared for a little melodrama, a little bittersweetness, I figured I could take it. Let's go. Let's do this. It's slice of life, but just a little bit more grown up. Okay, let's go. I think it's safe to say I was hooked before the first episode had time to hit those end credits. I knew by the end of episode 1, I was looking at something completely different. All right. So I've got like a synopsis here. Because I know if I don't read this effing thing, people are going to be like all pissed off. So here's the synopsis. Okay, so here we go. Frieren, Beyond Journey's End is a fantasy anime series that follows the life of an immortal elf mage named Frieren, who was part of the heroic party that defeated the Demon King 50 years ago. After witnessing the death of her human friend and leader, Himmel, Frieren realizes that she never truly understands the emotions and values of her mortal companions and decides to embark on a new journey across the world, accompanied by a young orphan girl named Fern, who becomes her apprentice. Along the way, she encounters new friends, foes, learns about magic and humanity, and faces the challenges of living in a changing world. The series also explores themes of life, death, friendship from the perspective of an immortal being who has a different perception of time and memory than humans. This, and that's it. Like, in a nutshell, that's like literally the first 3 episodes right there. That's like literally the first 3 episodes. Yeah, in a nutshell. But I have to say, it's way deeper than that. It's like way deeper than that. And beyond just the surface level stuff too, from like a writing point of view. Now, people who know me know that I dabble in writing. Yeah, I dabble in writing. I know the tools of the trade here. I know what to look for when it comes to good writing, bad writing, crap writing. I just don't really like arguing about when it comes to talking about writing and anything to do with it. It always turns out to be like this pissing contest on the internet, right? There's always like we can't just discuss writing. We have to piss and see whose piss stream is longer. If I say, "Oh wow, that was such a thing that touched on this," somebody else is going to come along and be like, "Actually," just so that they could be contrary to what I said. And that's why I don't really talk about writing much. But from a writing point of view, I'm going to do it today. Right? Okay, so from a writing point of view, It's got what I would call masterclass levels of character crafting. Like, the characters in this show are just so well written. I hate the term character development because that's something that you do pre-writing your character. You develop what your character is going to be about. You develop who your character is, motivations, that sort of thing. Masterclass levels on character creation. And it all but, the show itself all but redefines its own fantasy genre, because we're looking at a show that mixes genres from time to time. 1 minute, it's a straight up high fantasy. The next, it is fantasy slice of life, fantasy action. And then, of course, you've got like this memoir type of aspect to it. Like it's a memoir of Frieren looking back on her past and how that plays such an integral part. Like, the things that she did when she was with the hero party are significant because what she's doing right then and there, is something that she learned, or a trick that she picked up, or something that is related to that thing that happened back then. It's such a well-crafted way of telling the story. And I think the biggest plus is the animation. So I'm going to gush about the animation for just a little bit. You're going to have to humor me as I gush all over this. Like, get ready to be gushed, right? Now, I knew who Madhouse was from like day one. The animation studio. I knew who they were day one from when I became an anime fan years ago, right? My gateway anime was animated by Madhouse, and I think one of the most important anime films made, other than Akira, right? This is a hot take. Ooh, I'm gonna give you guys a hot take here. One of the most important vampire anime movies ever made. All right, created by Madhouse Animation. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. An animation style, I'm going to point out that second, after 20 plus years, an animation style that is second only to something like, say, I don't know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, right? Now, that's not to say that Madhouse has made nothing but bangers. I mean, they're not studio bones, but it was clear from the first frame of this show that more than your average amount of effort was spent on this thing. Like, lots of shows will do this, and it's bothersome, but I'm usually hooked by the time it happens, so I don't mind. But there's a lot of shows that do this. They'll go hard, right? In the animation department, they'll go really hard for like the first few episodes, and then by the time we're in the last third, we're in the home stretch, like the animation quality just drops to like doo-doo pudding levels, right? And there's a lot of factors for why that happens. Most of it is just like, I guess, time management, I don't know, or budget. It's just, I don't know. I think it's budget. Like, if I had to narrow it down, that's usually the case. They go over budget on a lot of shows. But Frieren has maintained a very consistent level of animation and art direction. I mean, there are transitions, like there are match cut transitions that happen that are so seamless, like the editing in this show, right? So seamless that if you blink, you miss them. And I'm just like, damn, that's impressive. The inner segments, like how the story is weaved together, the present and the past are so perfectly cut and interjected that it's like you don't even notice it. You're suddenly in the present, like, and then you're in the past, and then you're caring about all these people that are no longer in the picture. I mean, if this were any other show, it would be all about the hero party And it would be no different than any other show about some snarky hero off to defeat the Demon King. I mean, let's face it, the only thing that Himmel, I'm not bad-mouthing Himmel. I think Himmel is a great character. I think he's a great archetype for a hero because he's very eccentric, and you need an eccentric leader. Eccentricity, charisma, all of that kind of goes hand in hand. But the thing about Himmel is that if they pushed him just a little bit more, if they made the show all about him and his hero party going to vanquish the Demon King, then I feel like he would have had a few more quirks and traits that would have been a little bit more stereotypical of your average hero. And we didn't need that. But yes, Himmel, the hero's story, is all told in flashbacks and from Frieren's memories of the events during their 10 years journey. So that, I feel like, shakes it up a lot, because when it comes to flashbacks, when it comes to Frieren's memories of events, we, the audience, are now dependent upon the accuracy of her memories. How accurate is the memories of an eternal being, an immortal being that can live for thousands of years? Do they remember things from 300 years ago with the same amount of clarity as they would, say, 30 years ago, 3 years ago? How does that work for a person that has lived so long? So now you question, is Himmel the hero really the way that he is presented in the show? Because we're now dependent upon Frieren's memories. Now, based on what little time we got with them, he seems to be the same person. So there's all of this. Again, it feels like layers. It feels like layers. And this just gives such a huge gravity, to all of these events in the past. And it makes Himmel valuable as a character, even when the show isn't, but yet sort of is about him. Like, we can all agree that Frieren is the title character, right? And this is her show. So the purpose of her journey, right, is to connect better with people, for reasons she failed to make deep bonds with the guys in her party, and now that they're old and or departed, she's got regrets. And Beyond Journey's End is a series about confronting regret and making change because of it. Frieren herself, and this is not, I'm not putting her down. I'm not putting her down at all. I think Frieren is a fantastic character, but she's not relatable to the audience because of the fact that she's she's an elf. She's an immortal being, she's a powerful mage. For her, the passage of time is met out in vast stretches. The decades that she spent with the heroes party were almost like insignificant. So she sees the world from like this, like ancient perspective, like a demigod, observing the world as it slowly changes. And then popping up here and there to comment on, hey, where did this mountain go? It's been eroded, Not that happens in the show, but that would be badass. Where the audience and Frieren correlate, I think, is in her experiences with those around her. Like, she's lifted up by the characters around her. By herself, I sorry to say this, but Frieren can be a very boring character. If it was just her, it'd be like, oh, day 1, Frieren sleeps. Day 2, she reads a grimoire. Day 3, she collects a spell. Those pesky devil in the details is what makes the show so good. It's the other characters that we relate more with. Characters like Fern and Stark. It's Frieren's show, but we're along for the ride with her companions. And each of them have such unique character qualities, right? With like a lot of thought went into their creation. I'm going to say it. A lot of thought went into their creation. They each have their own motivation. They have their own wants, their own needs. You know, in writing, we usually see this sort of thing from a protagonist. And I'm going to step on a lot of toes here. I'm going to step on some toes here. A solidly built protagonist needs three things: something that they want, something that they need, and the lie that they believe, right? These are like the three basic fundamentals of a main character. And if you can explore these three aspects of a character, you can come up with a good journey for them. You know, they'll start off their journey wanting something. They have to have a want. They have to have a thing that they need that isn't necessarily the thing that they want. And then at some point they have to reveal this thing that they've believed that isn't necessarily the thing that is correct. You know. And the lie that they believe can be anything. It can be self-doubt. It can be the fear of being a burden on someone, or it can be like an irrational drive based on some past hurt or emotional wound. It doesn't necessarily need to be like, oh, I used to believe the sky was green. That's not the kind of lie that they believe. It can be something subtle, you know. Frieren herself, this part I'm going to step on everybody's toes. Frieren is a very static character. She's not a very dynamic character. And I'll tell you why. Because her one, and this is something that people just constantly moan about on the internet, is your character has to have this character change. They have to have this arc where they go through effing hell and then they come out the other side going, you know, I never thought of it that way before. You know, they have to have some life-changing event happen, you know, where they start off being an asshole and then at the finale, they love everyone. And this isn't that show. Frieren's change, quote unquote, I'm making air quotes here. Frieren's change happens in episode 1. Like right off the bat. That's her journey. Her journey is literally summed up in the first half of the show, first half of the episode. I mean, and her change happens within the first 20 minutes. Boom. There's her character arc. So the show, Frieren doesn't need to change. She's actively doing it. She's already made the decision to change. So everything she's doing now is not something that's going to lead to her becoming a different, better person. She's already this person now. So she is now a static character. And that's okay. You can have a static main character. They don't have to be dynamic as long as those around them are dynamic and flexible and growable. That's, God, that sounds so dumb. Yeah. Now, a lot of anime fans hate static characters. They cough up a good show. Like the only good, if you read anime review websites, God help you for going there. You know, you're gonna need to pray up, get some protection or something emotionally. But you would think that the only good story is the story where the main character is dynamic and that they go through some sort of change. You're going to hear two words constantly over and over again, and they're not even the right words. You're going to hear character development. Character development. Oh my God. Kirito didn't have character development. F my life, F the world, F the universe. You don't always need character development. Character development, first of all, it's not character development. Shut up. It's a character arc, okay? That's what it is. It's a character arc. Character development is what you do when you're creating the character. So, first of all, you got that wrong. But character development, I don't know. You would think it's the magic cure-all and only effing way a character can be written that they will accept. Yeah. Don't read. Take my advice. Just don't read anime review sites. They latch onto some keywords. They latch onto some hot takes, and then that becomes gospel. And that's all they think matters. Frieren is different. Okay. And that's why I like it. It's very different. It breaks molds. And the trick with Frieren is that while she is more or less a static character, what sets her apart from being a boring character, okay? Because you can have a static character and they can be just boring as all hell. What keeps Frieren from being boring is that she is an interesting character. She has quirks, and quirks is like personality, right? It can go a long way. I mean, I saw just yesterday, I was going through YouTube, and I usually do this after I finish the show, but Frieren isn't finished yet. But I wanted to hear what other people think of it. And I don't mind hearing bad reviews. I want to hear people's opinions, both good and bad. It's not going to change my opinion. It's not going to change my mind. If I like something, the entire world can hate it. The entire world, okay, I'm not saying that I like butterscotch pudding. I'm just going to use this as an example. The entire world could literally say, I hate butterscotch pudding. Butterscotch pudding needs to be banned. And I could be like, I like it. I don't care. F you guys. I will enjoy butterscotch pudding to the day I die. It's not going to change. There's no amount of people bitching about something being bad that's going to change my mind. I don't care. You are welcome to your opinion. Your opinion is not supposed to change my opinion. You can make all the argument you want to try to change my opinion, and maybe I might change my mind one day and go, butterscotch is ass. I'll go with chocolate. It's just an example. So I will read and watch other people's reviews and opinions about things because I think it's interesting when people say the same thing over and over again. Like they all met up at the same book club and got the same questionnaire, How would you describe your experience with this? Good, bad, mediocre, they eventually it feels like especially when it comes to bad reviews. I've seen this with good reviews, but when it comes to bad reviews of something, I feel like certain buzzwords, certain phraseology, and certain concepts that are deemed bad get propagated. And then it just ends up becoming like one reviewer parroting, mimicking another reviewer until eventually it's like this game of telephone where you get down the line and it's so ridiculous that it's like, oh, okay, that's great. Did you even watch the show? Or are you just latching on that something is bad so that you can get the views? I don't know. I feel real weird sometimes about going down the rabbit hole of movie and book and film criticism sometimes because these guys can just get effing wild, man. But yesterday I saw a thumbnail. Get back on topic here. Yesterday I saw a thumbnail that read, Frieren gave me an existential crisis. End quote. While I do feel that that's a bit of an exaggeration, I can definitely see where Frieren is something of a cautionary tale. Like, if you're no offense here, but you would have to be a very delicately emotional person to suffer an existential crisis from Frieren. But good on you. I mean, good on you for reading into the moral of the story here. And I think that there is a moral here. It's a cautionary tale. It's definitely got a story core that is like a moral to the story, like a fairy tale, right? The lesson being, don't wait to make connections. The lesson being, experience life. Form bonds, because life is short. We don't have the luxury of being this immortal being like Frieren. She has the opportunity to make these corrections in her life. But for the rest of us, we get old and gray, and it's, it's it's too little too late. I'm 95 years old. I'm going to go make amends and finally do some shit with myself. It's too late, bro. You're 95. Your best day is, getting the strained peas down. That's going to be your best day. We don't have the luxury of living forever. And I guess that could give some people maybe an existential crisis. I don't know. But I do know that Frieren is definitely one of those shows that lingers with you long after you've finished an episode. Like, it has a way of like creeping up on you and tickling your brain. And I think this is like a testament to the masterfully crafted layers, the masterfully crafted storytelling. I think that's why it's such a huge success, because it can do all of these things. It can transcend its own self. It can have a character that sort of breaks the mold of your average dynamic character. It can have such interesting and vividly dynamic side characters. Every character has like motivation, and they have a drive, and they have a reason for doing things. It's not just getting to the next fight, I mean, it's a show that I think a lot of other anime need to take a note from. There are a lot of anime that just need to calm down and take their time and tell a story. Frieren is not 13 episodes long. It's like, I think I read somewhere that's going to be like, the first season is going to be like 28 episodes long. Like, what? That can't be right. What? I thought anime was limited to either 24 or 26 episodes, or 13 or 12. What's going on? It is telling its story how it needs to tell the story. It's not padding the runtime with fillers so that they can just get to the next big brawl. I mean, if Frieren were an average fighting anime, as they're on their journey, they would have already encountered at least half a dozen bandits and fights on the road. Like, they would literally be walking on the road, and all of a sudden a bandit would pop out, ha, let's fight. And they'd be like, dun, 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 and then we'd be fighting. And then, they would already have swapped lines with the villain of the week. And we'd have yet another typical action anime. Personally, I love the pacing of this show. The characters, the world building, the world of Frieren is amazing. It's an anime that has taken the number one spot, right? It is, at least in my opinion, rightly deserved. Of course, now, I am only 18 episodes in so far, so while today I'm singing its praises, there is still time. There is still time for it to go all manner of horribly wrong. But I don't see that happening. Even if it gets more actiony, which I'm fine with. I feel like it's building up to something. I'm excited to see where that's going. I would love to read the manga. I don't know which came first. The manga or the light novel. I think maybe the manga came first, but I would definitely like to read it. It's high on my list. High on my list. I think Frieren is a fantastic show. And I think that you would be doing yourself a disservice if you passed it by. I think the memes are a little weird. I see a lot of memes with Frieren serving food, like at a fast food place, like Starbucks, McDonald's type thing. And there was a Good Burger one that I posted in my Discord. I thought it was funny, but then I realized, it's not that original. There's a lot of that going around, but the memes are kind of weird. But I think that you meme something when you enjoy it. A lot of times, Haruhi Suzumiya. Oh, there's a crap ton of Haruhi memeage and Lucky Star memeage, and shows that are popular get memed, and so that's a good sign because it means the community is coming together creatively, and I like it when that happens. That makes me very happy to be part of that community. So that's it. I know this episode of the podcast felt more like a really long anime review, or we'll call it We'll call it a video essay. Yeah, video essay. But I've been itching to talk about this show for a while now. And when I found out the other day that Frieren had actually taken the #1 spot on Mal, I was like, okay, that's my motivation. I gotta get this effing episode out. I gotta talk about Frieren. I was hoping to wait until it was over with, you know. Maybe I'll come back and do a follow-up. I don't know. We'll see. So that's it. That's all I've got, guys. Maybe next time I do one of these anime things, I'll let you, maybe I'll let you give me some suggestions. But until then, thank you so much for watching and or listening. My name is Gruzbee, and the Catgirl is Fumi-chan. This is the Neko Community Cafe podcast. Be sure to hit like if you enjoyed it so that YouTube can push it out through the algorithms. And if you want to see more and you haven't done so yet, consider subscribing. If you want to help out the channel directly, you can by becoming a member of the Patreon. Or if you want, you can make sure that you're caught up on when I go live and new videos, discussions. You can become a member of the Discord. All that stuff is in the linkity-link place down below. Don't forget to go check out some of my other videos talking about random game stuff and live streams. Go watch some of those VODs. All of that stuff adds up to watch time, which I need really bad. We're trying to get the channel to 2,000 subscribers, so every little bit helps. Make sure you, I don't know, recommend this to some friends or something. Your mom, your grandma, your grandpa, anybody who likes anime or pop culture stuff. Cats, it's all good. Anyway, have a great day, everyone. Keep being awesome. And I will see you all in the next episode. Bye.